My route here actually to the football club came via the Commonwealth Games, and prior to that I didn't come through hospitality, I'm afraid. I actually came through sport and leisure management, where I was head of leisure in a number of local authorities both in the UK and overseas before the Games. Part of my work with the football club was to convert the Commonwealth Games stadium as the client for the football club to football, and to think about how that would work in the future. And part and parcel of this was having a city council and a games process and a vision for the future that was about how do we make things work? How do we ensure that the investments that have been made makes a very real difference and is viable and sustainable as we look ahead and move forward. And in 2002-03, we didn't know exactly what was on the horizon, but we had lots of hope and lots of vision and lots of shared ideas and plans for the future. And it was that sharing of ideas, the partnership that existed then and exists today, that was really crucial in the way that we all work together and think about the future. To show you the stadium, and you've seen some of it today, you've seen some of the facilities as you came off the tram, and the tram's part and parcel of the development of East Manchester as well. Our new City Football Academy across the way, just 200 metres from here, an 84-acre site, former chemical works, that is now a green and lush land, a productive space again, with an academy, our first team training ground, lots of community facilities on one end of the site, a dream that we had and shared that was about actually delivering the vision of street to stadium. The idea that young people could play sport, could kick a ball about on the streets in Manchester, in particular in East Manchester, right next to our academy, where they could see the academy working and developing and aspire to be part of it, where we could have our academy right next to our first team training ground, and they could see the first team training and aspire to be part of that first team. And in line of sight of all of that was this place, world stage of football, the Etihad Stadium, where they all want to play and aspire to be that person, both in the men's game and in the women's game. And all of that's been delivered here in Manchester. And we went all around the world looking at the best practice, to Barcelona, to Real Madrid, to America, to Australia, what worked and what didn't work. And let's develop something in Manchester that really begins to make a difference to us as a football club, to our future, and to being more and more sustainable as we go forward. And that is part and parcel of what we're doing here in Manchester. But as impressive as these facilities are, and I believe they are impressive, as world leading as we've developed these facilities, and I believe they are world leading, none of this works unless we really think about people in all of this. It's the people in this city, in this club, and in the wider conurbation that really matter. And the route that we've taken, I hope, has been really thinking about the impact we have on not just the physical nature of the urban realm, but our communities and our neighbourhoods, and the people that we impact on match day and on concert days, the people that want work and hope and opportunities for jobs of the future. And street to stadium is, in some respects, about football and other sports and playing the game and becoming a professional in those sports. But also, for many people that live in our neighbourhood, it's about being the groundsman of the future or groundswoman of the future. It's about being the catering and hospitality manager of the future, taking my job off me in the future, becoming those people that run these facilities and manage them and develop them even further. They're real achievable opportunities for local people. And that's been really important to our vision as a football club, working with the City Council to make sure that we engage with our schools and our colleges, with people actually who may not be in school, and think about how do we work with those people to make sure that they have the opportunities, they don't get left behind, and the future is just as bright for them as they are for everybody else. And so over the last 5 to 6, 7 years, we've set ourselves some really big challenges, working with the City Council, and this absolutely wouldn't work if the partnership wasn't there. I can't stress how important partnership working is with the city, with our universities and with our local colleges. Absolutely vital. But we've also had to sort of take a leap of faith, a leap into the dark sometimes, to change things. And when we decided on stadium expansion, when we built the City Football Academy here in the city, not out in the Greenbelt, let's take the challenge of changing a former industrial site into something productive for the future. We had to think about local employment opportunity, the skills that were needed both in construction and in permanent work. And we set ourselves targets of no less than 70% local employment every way along that path, which is higher than the national average of local employment opportunity. We've set ourselves targets for apprenticeships. And on the academy site, we had 134 apprentices from people that had left school without qualifications, without the skills to go to college or wherever. And we made sure that 134 apprentices were trained with a proper scheme of work and had an onward journey after construction. And every single one of those people gained permanent roles after construction. We took on 90 local employees in permanent roles, 16 of which are apprenticeships and trainee programs. Again, every single person achieved permanent roles. We've done the same with stadium expansion, and our plans and hope for the future of our development on this site will be the same again. So that's just one small part of the difference a club, a company, if you like, the size of Manchester City can make. We're actually an SME, believe it or not. We're not a big we are a global organisation, but in terms of size, we're actually relatively small. Okay, so we don't employ thousands and thousands of people, it's a few hundred people. So the impact we can have has to be at that level. The profile is bigger than the employee base, if that makes sense, yeah? So the message from me really is that it's not just what we do, building things like this and changing the urban environment, but it's actually how we do it. And if I can just maybe share a couple of headlines from the current corporate responsibility report. This represents some of our behaviours that, one, is important to us today, is really important to the city and to the region, but is also part and parcel of what we're going to do going forward. And just before I do that, this football club grew out of the community. 130 years ago, when a local vicar and his daughter, the Reverend Arthur Connell, decided, and I think you're going to Connell College today, so they're named after the Connell family, decided initially to create a cricket team to keep, at that time, young men out of trouble and away from the demon drink, basically, in 1880. The cricket team soon became a football team. It was St Mark's in Gorton, and from there it became the Ardwick FC and then Manchester City FC, and we came out of a community need. And yes, we want to be a successful business, we have to be a successful business, but our roots and the cornerstone of everything we do is still rooted in that community. We have to help and make a difference to our community. If we don't, we fail. And I can promise you, we're doing exactly the same in New York with New York City FC, we're doing the same with Melbourne City FC, and we're carrying on the same behaviours with our soccer schools in Abu Dhabi, in China, and in Africa. Those things are happening in our soccer schools and where we have our footprint in other football clubs. And we exchange those views and make sure that localism in New York is about local people in New York, just as localism in Manchester is about making sure local people benefit here. So headlines, and then I'll shut up. So just picking up a couple of these things. When we've built our facilities here in Manchester over the last 5, 6, 7 years, we've spent in the region of about £370 million on facilities here in East Manchester. 86% of that spend has been spent on manufactured products here within the M60 corridor. And we've made sure that our local procurement has been about those companies that we buy from having local procurement routes of their own, that they have trainee programs and take on local people, so that the local economy benefits as much as it possibly can from the spend we have in our area. in City Football Academy, 883 of the 1,010 contracts were awarded to Manchester companies, and they had to bid competitively. We ensured best value, and all of those companies were good quality, authentic companies in terms of their own CSR programs. On the site, we decided to be sustainable. We put an 8.2 million litre rainwater harvesting reservoir under the new academy so that we can become self-sufficient in water for the future, for both drinking water, as we have our own spring under the site, and actually for watering our pitches and flushing our toilets and washing our vehicles. It's all grey, reused water. We have our own energy centre on site, which is tri-generation. The moment we feed it with gas, our long-term aim working with the universities is to look at hydrogen capture and make sure we become self-sufficient in terms of energy. 67% of all the materials used in our new buildings are reused or recycled materials. We have LEED Gold accreditation for CFA and BREEAM Community accreditation for the stadium. All of our waste is reused or recycled. Nothing goes to landfill anymore. All of our waste actually goes either into new products. An example is all our grass cuttings go to a farm 6 miles away from here where they turn it into compost, they grow strawberries, we buy the strawberries and serve them in the stadium. Okay, so that's recycling our grass cuttings and reusing them. All our cardboard and our glass is actually recycled a mile from here in Newton Heath and goes into things like housing insulation, loft insulation, those sorts of things. Everything is monitored and looked at along the way, and we continually reduce our packaging and our waste at source. I'll pick up one more for you then I'll be quiet. Applied learning and development has been really important both to people within the club and to those in our community looking for work and opportunities. One of the greatest partnerships that we've had over the last few years really has been with the universities in the city, where they're looking at innovation and opportunity with us. They're working with us, for example, at the moment on the manufacture of new textiles for sport, for example. That we're looking at all sorts of urban realm ideas for new design, new thinking. We have lots of research going on around human performance and sports medicine, working with Manchester Met University, and how we do that and how we should be looking outside of our comfort zone and in the way other people work. So they're big challenges for us, and we need to work and do work more and more with organisations outside of the football club and actually outside of football. We'll learn a lot more by doing that, and Manchester is a great place to do that because the networks exist. We're part of that network. We hope to be successful on the pitch, and we're going in the right direction. We desperately want to make sure that we're equally successful off the pitch and in all of our behaviour. That comes through partnership, and that's our vision for the future as well.